He's cooking the wiener. The wiener is cooked. The wiener got cooked. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Sunday night, and we got some viewer games to take a look at. We'll see what's in store. We got a whole bunch of them. At least the last I checked, there were question mark. Yeah, there's a lot in there. There's a decent amount in there, at the very least. We do have a couple dupes. We'll see how many we can get through tonight. If you're interested in getting your own game on stream, of course, you can do that in the Random Slots Discord. The link for that is in the description down by the like and subscribe buttons. You can also find a link for, of course, this live stream, because we do this live every Sunday on Twitch. But as we're getting into it, I, of course, have to let everybody know that I am part of the content affiliate program. That means that the Phobies team does, in fact, give me coffee for producing Phobies content, such as these viewer games. And they also provide coffee for our weekly tournament series, Monster of the Week. You can find the details for that in the aforementioned Discord, again, down in the description. So, without further ado, let's take a peek. What's going on, chat? Got to do the intro and get all that fun stuff squared away. Got to get my notepad ready because there's always notes to be taken on these insane viewer games that seem to happen every week. I see there's a couple Karst games in there, so I'm sure Karst submitted some stuff. Wow, but wearing a white shirt makes me realize how scraggly my beard is. Like when I wear a dark shirt, you know, like the chair is partially black, and then if I'm wearing a dark shirt, like the shadows blended a little bit, but like it's looking scraggly. Been trying out like new beard oils and stuff to like make it softer and things like that. It does feel a little bit softer, but I think some of them are actually irritating my skin. I don't know if it's the oils or the combination of the oil and the shampoo or you know, like whatever the case may be, but like something's bothering it. So I gotta see the trials and tribulations. You know how it does. So I hope everybody out there is doing well, having a good, at this point, end to their weekend, as we're gearing up for yet another week, the start of summer. I don't like the warm weather. Gotta turn the sound down a little bit. A little bit less volume. All right, let's take a look at this one. We got this one, which is probably going to be broken. I mentioned it last time, and there were people commenting on the videos. Our hero here is TDSM, bad guys in orange. An early mistake from my part that was then saved by a cheeky wall placement. I guess clowns are not meant to enjoy spas for too long, so I'm presuming we're going to get a bluey here. We'll see. Unless these notes were switched, because TDSM did have a game last week. But anyway, point is that as you can tell from this replay, and this won't be true of all replays, but these were broken by one of the more recent patches. And under certain circumstances, the patches will not completely break the replay. It will instead now do this, where it's essentially like skipping ahead on the turns. So this was related to... Honestly, I don't even remember what the patch was for. Speaking of patches, we're allegedly going to be getting an update somewhat soon. Kind of. Like, there were some teasers and spoilers from the team going out there talking about, or maybe not, they weren't really talking about it, but like we have an image of what looks like Vendy with 80s rock hair. There's the aforementioned potential Bluelian. There's the block with the wall. I feel like we did watch this one because I kind of remember a erratic going ham due to the extension from the wall, which is kind of what we're seeing here. And it's a play that, like, this is up there with the heebie-jeebies special of, like, once you realize this is how the game can work, it kind of opens up a lot of possibilities for you. Getting a second wall, this is more along the lines of heebie-jeebies special. Obviously, bad guy doesn't have a lot of room to work with here. Just going to be able to chip him down, push with the erratic. The erratic is nigh immortal. TDSM going to take it down. GG. Congrats. Unfortunately, there's not a lot to say for this replay. It definitely feels like we watched this one last week, so I could be wrong there, but because of the broken replay, it is what it is. GG. The only thing I'll say for the broken replays is that they are faster. We can get through way more games way more quickly, for the most part. There is a little bit of a concern with, like like, sometimes you can't quite tell what happened, because it's like, oh, all these things died, but you don't know why, because maybe something popped out of the vault and it was like a kaboom or something, and, well, I guess a kaboom wouldn't do it, but, like, you get the idea. Something pops out and then results in several things happening. All right, this one may or may not work. This is Jeremy. Always amuses me when people just have their regular names. Yep, this one will work. So what do we got? I've done it. I figured out the real counter to Phantom. It's the Phantom user's arrogance. PVZ, what's good? Yeah, Phantom is, as expected, the talk of the town. At this stage, like, I don't know. I really can't gauge what the dev's opinion on... This is an interesting pick here. Like, this is just an easy pick off. It's part of the reason why people don't do this. Because, like, yeah. Womp womp. Free 2-key kill, and then that snowball's, of course, going to go onto the spot. Now, I will say, in Bad Guy's defense for this, those 2 keys bought them a 4-0 panic point advantage. So, like, this is a decent amount of pressure, and the snowball here out of Bad Guy means that the jar from our hero is in danger. You do need to protect it from multiple angles unless, like, you happen to out-level it, which, based on the way our hero is behaving, seems to be the case. 4-1 panic point advantage now. I have to assume that our hero has a level advantage on this jar. Level 15, level 16. Yep, 1 level will, in fact, do it. We are going to cook the snowball, though. The earlier lava damage means that... So you don't get the jar pick, which you would have liked to do. But getting this pick is pretty decent as well, and you maintain your 4-1 panic point advantage. Seems pretty decent. Gonna get a little bit of chip damage here. Pinapple, what's good? Welcome. Or not chip damage. We're actually just gonna straight up take it down. Seems all right. So we actually trade snowballs there. That obviously favors our hero. They keep the 3 ranger. The Klopster edition. I don't love it. But that's a cool 11-12 going down onto the Evo here. And Evo has seen better days, and here's the Phantom. All right. All right, then. So as I was saying earlier, we'll have to see how the devs feel about it, because as Karst and I were discussing on the podcast, did we talk about this? Karst and I have talked about this before, but I don't remember if it was on the podcast. The bottom line is that I think that the devs very much intend for Phantom to work the way it does. By the way, Bad Guys hemorrhaged like virtually all their board position. Still 4-1 panic point advantage, though. But the point is that the Phantom is... There's really no other interpretation for it, right? Like, the intent of the Phobie is to have these crazy, splashy, explosive plays of, oops, I dropped this heinous thing right in your lap, and it's going to take the game over. That's the express purpose of this Phobie. There's a lot of different ways that they could take a nerf, but it's hard for me to look at it with any other view other than it's working as designed. Now, working as intended, working as designed, you could say, oh, well, they never intended for it to be this powerful, and it's kind of like, maybe they did. Maybe they really did intend for it to be this powerful, and it's just simply... Everybody else doesn't, like, they expected the community to like it more. All right, so we're going to get a takedown here on the, Ooh, and it even escapes. Sparky get the takedown on the Hevo. I don't know if Phantom just dies here. It probably does. Yeah, because you get 2 hits from the cat, a hit from Klopster, a hit from Ginsting, and a hit from the jar, plus a potential Gonzo buff. There's no way that this Phantom survives. So here's the thing. we have to assume at this stage that, I mean, our hero is kind of taking over the game at this point. I don't think that the loss of the Phantom was necessarily that bad. Like, don't get me wrong, we've seen way more explosive Phantom plays. Wow, that's an underwhelming Phantom play. Like, to me, that's fine. And even if you hung the Phantom out to dry, like, yes, you could have gotten more. But to be truthful with everyone, in my opinion, the glob is the problem here. There was no reason to go glob other than if you have Phantom on the board. So the issue is if you had gone any other use, like imagine if that was just a regular Jin Sting, you'd probably be way better off. And they probably, maybe, well, given the play they made, they probably would have slammed the Sparky in there anyway. What they possibly should have done, did they have the opportunity? I don't think the Jin Sting was in position. I was going to say maybe they should have just left the Sparky. They leave the Sparky, and then you can possibly kill off the cat, but I don't think that the Jin Sting, Hematic specifically, was in position in order to assist. So you wouldn't have killed it, because the Phantom had to move and then teleport. The Sparky obviously killed the Hevo. There's a very fine line with powerful Phobies that's difficult. Like, it's kind of easy to articulate, maybe, but it's difficult to implement. Because you want everything to be powerful and impactful. But the Phobie can't be... Thought he was going to glob the Hevo instead. I mean, that probably would have been a better play as well. But if you're going to hang the Phantom out there, you can't... Like, why did you go glob? It was a waste. Because now glob is going to do nothing all game, basically. Especially now. I don't remember what I was saying. I totally lost track of what I was saying because of that comment. I completely lost track. Yeah, to be honest, I think Bad Guy kind of folded after the Phantom takedown. Get a little Speedola buff action going. Daisy body blocking for the jar. I mean, it's all over but the crying, and has been for several turns at this stage. Yeah, the Glob could have gotten the Hevo. It definitely would have been enough damage. What it did 11... How much damage did it do? I don't know. We'd have to go back and look. Like, maybe it's possible that the Hevo survives because it's on the spa, but I kind of doubt it. I mean, the Glob does get to attack for what that's worth. Or eat something. Whatever. Oh, that's what it was. So, you want Phobies to feel powerful and impactful, right? But you can't have them simply be the only way for a player with X to lose is the other player also has X, so like the only way to lose to beat a Phantom is to have a Phantom. Or the other scenario is that the user of that Phobie has to make a mistake with the Phobie. Now, and that sounds ridiculous. And by ridiculous, I mean this. Well, first of all, GG, Jeremy. By definition, every game is decided by player mistakes, right? It's a deterministic game. I mean, you can throwing out level differences and whatever. The game is decided by who makes the most mistakes. That kind of, you look at it from the other way around of, okay, well, if that person made the most mistakes and that person didn't make as many mistakes, and therefore they are the better player. But the problem with having it debatably the way it is, and I'm not saying this is 100% the way it is, but if you play perfectly with Phantom, you cannot lose, is the argument that is often presented. I don't think that's necessarily true with any other Phobie. Like, could you, in the Boss Gonzo era, old Boss Gonzo era, say that If you play perfectly with Boss Gonzo, you cannot lose. As in, it is irrelevant what your opponent does. Your opponent effectively doesn't play the game because you drive everything. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not even sure that's true for Phantom, to be honest. And I don't want to add... It's always tough, like, oh, well, we'll put it up to the community to see what they think. Well, guess what? They're always going to say... It's going to be contingent on when the last time they lost to a Phantom was, generally. Alright, so Karst put in 2 games against Karth. We're going to look at one, and then we'll look at the other one when we circle back around. Actually, he has another game against... Karst has 3 games in here, these 3. So we're going to look at the 13-turn game. Karst here are here on Vile Vortis, all dimensionals versus Karth. Curious on whether you think the Jammy Fish helped or not. Ooh, we got a little Jammy Fish action. Love to see some Jammy Fish. DT was the early pioneer that I recall for Jammy Fish, and then, I'll be honest, I don't even know if DT's playing Phobies anymore. I haven't heard from DT in a while. Stream is lagging for you. It doesn't look like it's on my end, but I was having some issues watching streams earlier, so I don't know if Twitch is having a problem. Although... For me, it was always the same stream. Like, it's a specific stream that seems to constantly have issues every day, no matter what, so... And I think it's only me, so I think it's, like, some relationship between the Twitch servers and my internet or whatever, but I'm not seeing anything like drop frames or anything like that. So, anyway... Got a little werewolf opener from Bad Guy here. So as of right now, the answer for Jammy Fish is no. I mean, I think you would be better off going Snowball 1, Jammy Fish 2, maybe? Get the earlier panic point? I'm not sure. But the Jammy Fish puts Karst... The way I'm evaluating this... The Jammy Fish impact is there a turn involving... So, Karst uses Jammy Fish's ability. Is there a turn where that phobie that comes out would not have been able to, aka you had to use the ability, Karst didn't, like, bank extra, and was able... And that phobie made a big impact. And thus far, none of this matters. Like, it could have been probably anything else. Now, Karst, although he did say all dimensionals, has mentioned in the past that when they are referring to things like this, support phobies are on the table. Hence the Shove Shark. Shove Shark is actually a monster, you know. So Shove Shark with Glob definitely makes sense. We'll see if the... Well, I take it back. So this turn... Going by the criteria I said earlier, like, getting these this turn would not have been possible without the Jammy Fish. But, like, I don't think we've profited from the Jammy Fish yet. The Jammy Fish is something... I'm not going to do the math on stream, because you never do math on stream. But I think Jammy Fish is a very math-based phobie as far as, was this valuable? The reason that I say that is, it's interesting the Glob went here and not onto the spa, because then if it was on the spa, it could threaten the werewolf if it stays. Which it won't. Well, guess what? That werewolf has no choice. It's got to stay. Sort of. Okay, so I will... Hold on. There's multiple thoughts here. One, I think the Glob 100% should be on the spa, because what's going to happen is they likely cook the Bachelor and slap it with werewolf to let it escape. If the Glob was on the spa, it could go up... Well, it could get shoved, then go up and glob the werewolf, assuming this is even what Karst wanted to go for. Coming back to the Jammy Fish thing. To me, Jammy Fish is... You can mathematically plan out, strategize pre-game, what your Jammy Fish turns are going to be, for the most part. I mean, obviously, if you have to react to your opponent, that through, you know, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. But you could map out the turns and go, okay, it is at this point, like, I dipped down because I had to spend 3 keys on Jammy Fish. Those 3 keys could have just simply been banked and then resulted in whatever the other stuff was. So Jammy Fish is not profiting you keys until the 4th key. I don't think we've hit the 4th key yet. So the point is like this glob shove shark turn, and maybe I'm thinking about this wrong because this is just obviously it's first stream of consciousness thought. So the glob shove shark turn, if you didn't spend 3 on the initial turn for Jammy Fish, could have just been 3 banked keys. Now, the other way to look at it is, although you spent 3 keys, you are getting them back at some point in time because you still have a mobile game piece on the board that can interact with the board. So, for example, if you banked those 3 keys, you would not have captured this panic point because that's where Jammy Fish went. So I kind of lean more heavily to the former idea than the latter. Oh, this depowered this turn, so it wouldn't have mattered about the glob anyway. But that's kind of how I mentally gauge Jammy Fish. So 4-1 panic point advantage, bad guy. Karst under a fair amount of pressure, but it is going to drop off after this. It is going to drop off after this because obviously the werewolf is not going to survive. The glob can help lock things down. It was interesting in the discussion that Karst and I had on the podcast. This is a good glob play. This is kind of what I was thinking in the north, but it wasn't necessary. Which may be why Karst, like, I don't know if they were expecting the Blinky. Maybe they were expecting the Blinky to go down there. I don't know. But Karst is talking about doing these all single type of phobie challenges, like all undead, all dimensional, all whatever. And he pointed out that the undead do not have a displacement tool like a puller. I mean, they have boops, but it's like fetch, but they don't have a puller, which dramatically changes what their gameplay options are, which is interesting because it does feel like this game plan is way more complete. Or you at least have the option to have a more complete game plan than you would with the other one. Karth versus Karst? Yeah, that's why I have to say bad guy, because otherwise it gets way too confusing. It's also more fun to call the opponent bad guy. Although it is tough to turn that off in my brain when I'm casting Monster of the Week games, and I'm like, I'm going to sound super biased. I do appreciate Karst, our hero, doing this. While you can't body block the ability of Brony, you can physically body block the Brony, thereby preventing it from doing stuff. Now, the problem is here, if the tickles could die, there is a way for the Brony to get a good chunk of things. I guess the game ended here, yeah. I mean, Karst kind of took over the game. I don't know if... I'd have to go back and watch this in closer detail. I don't know if that Jammy Fish really made a difference, to be honest. I don't know if it was on the board long enough. So like I said, there's 2 main components to make Glob MVP. Yep. I think there's 2 main components to evaluating Jammy Fish. It's the longer one where, okay, I've gotten 4+ activations out of it. Do I... And then, therefore, I was able to get something that shouldn't, air quotes, shouldn't have been on the board yet onto the board because you pulled a key forward. The other way is just, it's more immediate because the Jammy Fish is able to interact with the board while you're doing these things. Because it's clearly, if you put any other 3 key on the board, you put a Murder Wing on the board or a Tooth Fairy, you are not going to be able to get to the key counts that you had, like we saw with the Shove Shark Glob play, where you can get them both in the same turn. So I'm kind of torn. I don't feel like if in that particular game, if you did not go Tooth Fairy, if you did not go Jammy Fish, I don't feel like any of those turn, like, I don't know. I would have to go back and look. It didn't seem like it. But I'm not sure. It is a tough evaluation to make anytime Jammy Fish is there. Which I do like. Jammy Fish seems like a very high potential phobie, but we need to see more of it. And not enough people are interested in experimenting with it from my experience. Alright, we got a 25-turn game here from Lydion. A game in which Snappy held on for almost the entire game. It was dynamic, although there were some basic mistakes, both mine and opponents. Alright, let's see what we got here. Every bug you fixed have more pop-up. Whack-a-mole with bugs, it happens. Having done my... well, it's not really my share of coding because it was a long time ago and I was not very good, so I understand. I definitely can commiserate. I wouldn't read too much into that, PvZ. I think the funniest thing about the screenshot that Karst had posted with that was that it was so small. He's like, how can you guys not see what I'm talking about? Like, dude, I can't even see what's happening. Like, I don't know what phobies are on the board. I can't tell what map this is. And you want me to find this, like, dude, I'm not breaking out a magnifying glass to see this. I'm looking at it on my phone. Like, dude, what am I supposed to be seeing here? For those who don't understand, hit up the Random Thoughts Discord. There's funny stuff sometimes. Anyway, Snappy's on the board, a phobie that I wish got more play. I like Snappy. Like, I'm not saying Snappy's, like, secretly overpowered or something. I just like Snappy, because I think Snappy's cool. I will point out that our hero here did pop an early numbskull, which is, like, a huge no-no for me, because I hate these one-movers, but we'll see if it works out for him. You know, going first on a map like this with a one-move phobie like that might not be horrendous. A one-key one-move we're talking about here. Because if you think about it, like, the amount of effort that bad guy had to sink into killing that numbskull is pretty significant. Alright, so I have to imagine that this is dead, right? The murder wing. Between getting cooked and then these things being right there and obviously being so... well, the jar is dead and Snowball's already out. Could you not have just... oh, okay, never mind. You had to do it this way because the murder wing was under level compared to the jar. Never mind. I was going to say, why didn't you just meatball this thing and then poison something else? But they had to. Well, that's a boom. All right, bad guy is on the ropes here already. Drawing phobies isn't watching a phobia stream? Nice. Nice. All right, maybe bad guy's not on the ropes as much as I was alluding to. That's staging what I would describe as a comeback. That being said, there are two traps on the board. Snappy and Creep are fairly tanky. Who are we cooking? Cooking the enemy Snowball. We're getting a Droney. Presumably that's enough to put it into Fireball ring. Wait, what? Oh, okay. Would it have been better to... well, I guess this is fine. Let the Snappy get cooked. You take less damage than if you get pulled forward and get targeted by the Spud. The heebie-jeebie special, chat. What is it with people in TED lately? Why is there so much Jill and TED lately? Oh my god! There it is. They're gonna do it! They're gonna hit him with the heebie-jeebie special! I was working on some new toy picks. the last day or so. You like that one? I've had that point redemption for months now, and nobody uses it. And I'm like, I guess people don't like it. But then every time it comes up, people are laughing their ass off, and I'm like, well, then why doesn't anybody do it? Oh, the counter to Glob. We get to Finnegan. You know what's funny is Phobies like Finnegan are absolutely in that camp of, like, tons of people, myself included, are like, why does this phobia exist? It's just kind of invalidated by the existence of these other pushers, these other yoinks, these other things. Like, there's no... Why would you ever go Finnegan unless, you know, you have nothing else? And the reality is that, honestly, Finnegan's a pretty good counterplay to things like Glob because it is so cheap. Like, you don't have to put in a ton of effort to be like, oh, well, I put out Rambolina on the board. Well, that costs 6 keys. That's a big chunk of your team. You could instead just get Finnegan and then just boop. I don't know about that. Because the Finnegan's now exposed, but I mean, bad guys out of keys. They can't get to the snappy. At least with the glob. But yeah, this is kind of what I was afraid of. Like, that's your anti-glob tool, and you just let it get globbed. I don't know about that one. I was about to say, are you not going to kill this Spud? Rusty, lol. So yeah, the only thing you got to do at this stage as our hero is ensure you kill Raucous. Because then, bad guy literally can't do anything. I mean, they can't really do anything at this stage anyway, but very well played. Like I said, I didn't love the Finnegan, but the Finnegan getting eaten. But at the end of the day, I think offering that up, if they're going to take the Finnegan kill, then they're just dead anyway. Yeah, a lot of people do that for their username. I've seen a lot of people do similar naming conventions. Yep, why not? Bad guy can no longer escape. They are going to get the Snappy takedown. Poor Snappy. Oh, they're not! Wait, so how did Snappy almost make it to the end? Oh, do you kill it with kill the Raucous with Zappy? I think you could have let him live there, hero. Are we vying for the bad guy award? Because you don't let the Snappy survive to the end? I'm ashamed of you. GG. That one was kind of, like, well in hand, I would say. All right, we got a Potenzia game. Alright, Potenzia here. I randomly got Hoovy months ago, and this is quite literally the only game where it ever came in clutch, ever. I did have one Monster of the Week game, but I'm pretty sure most 6 keys could have won that. Safe to say, Hoovy sucks. Okay, so here's my rant on Hoovy. You do not want Hoovy to be good. Not just Potenzia, no one. You don't want... That sort of mechanic is something that will feel incredibly toxic if it was a regular every game thing, I think. Healing in games always is hilarious because it is, whether you realize it or not, healing is generally bad in a lot of games. Especially like competitive games like this, where it's often better to just go win the game instead of not lose. And when the healing strats become actually powerful, actually viable, actually competitive, is when things feel incredibly toxic because it causes the game to drag out for 6,000 years. Because obviously healing is not killing them. It's just causing you, instead of trying to win, you are trying not to lose. And those are not the same thing. It is a concept that people need to understand on your journey to become a better player at whatever you're playing. Is this Gravedigger just dead? We'll find out in a minute. Ugh. Now, I've talked about potential Hoovie reworks before, where I think that Hoovie should be a heart push centric Phobie. You sound tired? I'm like always tired now. Sundays are always the most tired because it's like I'm finally catching up from the week. So like I feel, obviously after the weekend, I feel more rested, but it kind of catches up with me by Sunday and then Monday and Tuesday, and then it like the cycle starts over again. But anyway, like if I were to rework Hoovie or create a new Phobie like Hoovie, I would want it to be heart rush focused to the point where it's like your heart heals or your team heals due to damage done to the heart. So that like it encourages this aggressive push towards the heart because you want this to happen. There are other ways in which that becomes problematic, obviously, but I don't know that the current state is where it wants to be. Oh, congrats, just random. That's pretty cool. Congratulations. That's great news. I was about to say, wouldn't they have been better off, like, getting a hit onto Venus first? But they're about to have a very bad day. Feeling better? That's good to hear. It's good to hear. Gonna make that money? I hope so. I hope so. Eight, 11 total keys to 13 total keys. This is interesting Venus placement, choosing not to go after the panic point. I mean, this does kind of limit Bo Mangle's escape route. Sort of. But it can just do this. I guess that kind of offers it up to the jar? I don't mind the more aggressive positioning, but I don't understand why Bad Guy let the jar do that. Like, did they need the double hits from the jar? That seems strange. Hoovie's animation is just absurd. Alright, so for those of you unfamiliar with Hoovie, Love Sucks heals the heart by damage dealt. But it does not... Oh, it does count the heart. It does count the heart. I think the focus should have been more on trying to get it to push heart. Maybe, like I said, maybe it would be too good if that was the case. If it was pushed even further to generate that sort of advantage, but... I've said it before, but I don't know if this is intentional, but from a design perspective, I am fine with the idea of like, oh, this is a new thing. You know, like when we got Waffalo Will. It's like, that's a potentially game-breaking ability. That's pretty cool. I've never actually seen Hoovie attack. That's actually pretty... I think Hoovie's going to be the cover. Full stop. But I think that it's cool to introduce a new ability. Cool and not in the sense like, oh, I'm excited that it's this way. But like, it's fine to introduce a new mechanic and then kind of play it safe just to be like, okay, is this actually okay? No matter how good of a developer or designer you are, the reality is that your team is always going to be smaller than the player base. There are way more players than there are developers. Duh. And as a result, players are going to find ways to break things or think of things that you would not have. It's quite simply the way the world works. So how much are we healing for? It's 100% of the damage. Triple panic point advantage here right now. I mean, it's going to change momentarily, but, like, our hero was under a bunch of pressure, so you can say that Hoovy was an answer here. But Hoovy costs, what, 6? 6 is kind of steep. It's kind of steep. You just got a Scritch out of a Terrifying pack? Congrats. Nice. That's pretty hype. Did you have a damage buffer before this? Like, is that your first damage buff guy? This is hilarious that Potenzia can just ignore the panic points and hunt down this Klepto. Your first buffer? Sweet. That's actually pretty sick. Congratulations. Scritch is fun. Wait, we're not going heart rushing. We're actually going to hunt down the heart. This is actually kind of hilarious. I didn't realize Hoovy leaks on the ground. That's a little weird. That's a little weird. That's a little weird. So how long until we get the Hoovy reskin? That instead of being pink, it's green or purple, and then diseases or poisons, depending on the color. But 100% see that happening. But GG, Potenzia. Well done. Hoovy wins. Can't say it never happened, chat. All right, hold on one second, chat. Happy Father's Day, daddies. Don't say it like that. Don't say it on the internet like that. There's a guy on YouTube that just reads, like, I guess Reddit posts or something where it's like funny clips from D&D, and it's always like silly stories. But there was one that was supposed to be like an inter-party conversation where it's like the cleric talking to the warlock. And the cleric says something like, no, it's not the same. He's like, what? And the warlock's like, what? We're saying the same thing. And then the cleric goes, no, it is not the same thing. I say, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. Is not the same as you saying, I'm sorry, Daddy, I've been bad. Like, those are not the same thing. I don't know, kind of same. They're kind of the same. They're in the ballpark, right? Those are the same thing. Those are the reactions you get. Like, those are that's the range of reactions you would get to that. My wife saying Poppy is very different from Dad. True. I can see how that could be the case, Luffy. I can see how that's the case. Oh my god. Alright, hold on. What do we got next? I'm getting pings in Discord. So who is pinging me in this channel? What is this? I hate when, like, I just joined a server. Because, when I was at the tournament the other day, I ran into a guy, a friend of mine, that I hadn't seen him in years because I knew him from, like, another card game. So he's like, oh, hey, how you doing, blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, I'm playing this other game now. Let me invite you to that Discord server. I'm like, great, I've been curious about this game. I wanted to know about it, blah, blah, blah. So he invites me, and whenever I join a Discord server, I always try and, like, I mute everything immediately, because it's like, I don't want 70 million pings. But there's always some that manage to get through, and then it's like I'm streaming, and there's all of these pings coming in. Sorry, there's... And by something stuck on my desk, I mean I killed the bug, and I was trying to get rid of it. What are y'all talking about? I go for 2 seconds? We're not going back to that one. We're not going back to that one. Somebody will have to... You got to watch the VOD for that one, just random. You missed out. You got to stay glued to your seat, and you got to subscribe like Luffy so you don't get commercials. Mech-ode. Shout out to Mech-ode, who has unfortunately missed the last couple Monster of the Weeks because we've had so many signups. Because Mech-ode, if anybody recalls, is the one who is being the master of jackalopes. And, putting on a show for us. But here, Mech-ode is our hero. I opened a Dreadful and got nothing but Snappy. I wanted to take him for a spin, and this game happened. Gotta say, I love him. So should I have Snappy and Hoovy on the cover for this, chap? No, I'm good. Now I want to... Okay, now I just want to do so many shenanigans with my buffer. You know, I actually don't hate this play out of Bad Guy. Like, you'd think, oh, well, they're just trading 1 keys, but it does delay our hero here. So we got a little snappy action. A little snappy action. I want to know who thought having the snapping turtle just hock a loogie at things as its attack was how that was going to happen. Like, where did you come up with that idea? Because that is absolutely deranged. I can make my Hercules do 1100 damage into 500 damage into 250 damage my level 3 Scritch. That seems pretty sick. I do want to see Hercules... I mean, we still got a couple months before people really get it to a level of, like, okay, now this is truly feasible for a lot of people. Because it is a numbers-based phobia, of course, so... We'll have to see. We got a little bit more time before maybe the Hercules stuff comes in and people start shrieking about how it's broken. It got delayed into next year, that's turning into DB... Well, what does the delay have to do with DBZ, though? Does this not just die? I mean, I guess if this stays... This is a level 1 Klepto. Oh, this must have been a frenemies match. Everything's a level 1. All right. I mean, that makes more sense, because I was going to comment earlier, if you just got the Snappy, like, probably not up to snuff yet. I was going to look that game up today, Latona. I just didn't get the chance to. You know what? You should be... Are you? No, actually... Oh no, Mech-ode. Baby, what is you doing? You're hemorrhaging your whole team? That's what you're doing. Got delayed multiple times before release and because of client issues. Well, is this... But this one's... Is this digital or physical? I don't remember. You were just talking about it last night, but honest to God, I was so tired last night that I don't remember. Where are we gonna Rusty? Oh, we're doing for the body block. All right, we got the body block. Okay. Yeah, but doesn't the Gesundheit clear the tickles? Gesundheit clears the tickles, you get the poison. Is that worth it? This is a very strange exchange. Oh, it's digital. Okay, okay. Oh, we're not good. Okay, we're going to clear with Jar, I guess. That's fine. This allows the sheep to connect. You know, as much as sheep sucks, its animation is ridiculous. It is so cool. Like, the sheep attack, like the sheep explosion, is one of the coolest animations in the game. Full stop. I mean, don't get me wrong, the snappy one is cool. Like I said, it's absolutely deranged that you came up with that idea, but, like, the sheep animation is absolutely trailer-level animation. Like, you 100% display that one. I don't really know at this stage. Like, there was so much violence in that earlier set of exchanges that it's just like, sure. Innocuous. Because apparently Mech-ode hates fun. What is it that you hate most about fun, Mech-ode? Can you describe it for us? Can you tell us why you hate fun so much? Why is that happening? I was going to make a comment about the cassowary off the stem killing the gravedigger, but now the AWOL sound won't stop. Somebody make it stop! It can't stop! Jesus, that sound is like... You know what that sounds like? This sounds like a monster coming for you in an 80s movie. This seriously, like, think about this. Have you watched an 80s horror movie recently? Like, think about an 80s horror monster movie sound design. And tell me that this doesn't sound like it. You know, like you hear the monster coming down the hallway or something. It sounds like it should be from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Which may be why I'm thinking that. Oh, excuse me. Admittedly, I haven't played that game in a few days, but, that was on my mind. I was gifted some stickers from Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I gotta put one on the deck box. Whoop. How about that, chat? Look at that. That's nasty. Rusty trapping the cassowary. 4 for 2 trade. AWOL and Gravedigger for cassowary. I guess. Glob because... I don't know. Is this glob ever gonna... Like, how will this ever catch the flesh crawler? That's obviously what it's coming after. Is this Stairmaster just dead? Does the Stairmaster just kill the Stairmaster and Cowbell? I doubt that, right? Like, that can't be, right? Snowball? Evo's not gonna get there. Huh. Huh. I mean, you're not going to heal much because you already hit, but... The sound design on the flesh crawler is so weird, too. Like, it's super weird how squeaky it is. By the way, 0 keys remaining for either player. This feels like our hero's in deep doo-doo. But maybe not. I mean, this guy's probably dead. Oh, this is not... I don't think this is the positioning you want. Yeah, I don't know about that one. The reason I was saying our hero is in a bad spot is because the glob feels like it's kind of dead weight. Partially because it felt like it would never connect with anything and the fetch is there. But then at the same time, there's really no way for bad guy to ever advance in. Huh. This was a weird one. This was absolutely a weird one. Certainly not the most unhinged game we've ever seen, but this one was pretty weird. GG. All right, let's see. Let us see. Pinapple. Pinapple. That guy was in chat earlier. Pinapple, our hero. A game that I thought was completely lost early on, ended in a close race, but I unfortunately lost. Oh, God. The notes on this game were a roller coaster. It was like, oh, no, we're losing. Oh, we're winning. Oh, we lost. I was about to make a comment about, see, this is why the devs penalize surrenders, because you'll have these games where you never would have realized that you would have won if you had just stayed in the game. But if you just lose at the end, then womp womp, you end up losing. So I posed this question yesterday. Is Never Forever a good map or a bad map? There are some weird and interesting things that happen on it. So we've definitely seen players sacrifice a lot of Phobies into the pits by accident, or due to plays from, like, this is a unique play from our hero here, or a bad guy here, rather. Either, you know, like, we saw, I think a Cerberus got frozen and then got flung into the pit. We saw Zappy get thrown into the pit the other day. I think I know why you lost. I think I know why you lost. Wow, that's even worse than I thought it was. Why are you putting brute worst on the board? This is 100% a mistake. There's no reason to do this. Don't do this to yourself. But he's funny. He is funny. He is funny. You know, I wonder... Okay, so real talk. I had other things I was talking about. We're going to talk about brute worst now. We've seen multiple... Oh, first of all, let me know what your opinions are on Never Forever. I'm kind of leaning towards this as a bad map, but I'm not sure yet. But as far as brute worst goes, can we get a brute worst pillow? Like a body pillow? Is that you want, a brute worst body pillow? Isn't that just a regular body pillow? You can just skewer it with a fork? Like, isn't brute worst just a body pillow that you skewer with a fork? Like, come on. There, you can draw the eyes on it and then skewer it with a rake, and you got yourself a makeshift brute worst. Oh my God, Pinapple, Jesus. You are getting bodied here. Also, I love the get hit animate. Is brute worst sweating? I've never actually seen this phobia on the board, so I didn't know these were part of the animations. Holy shit. So here's the thing. Would brute worst be oppressive if brute worst had 2 movement? Something brute worst pun. True. I thought brute worst was undead. Nope, it's a monster. It is, in fact, a monster. So seriously. Oh, no. Oh, no! 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 He's cooking the wiener. The wiener is cooked. The wiener got cooked. Yeah, would brute worst be oppressive if it was a 2-mover. Because we've seen that buff for a few different, we've seen... Does this work? Yes, it does! Oh, that's sick! This is a sick play. I mean, they're still going to get some value out of it, but... This is what I was talking about. Like, there's some cool plays that can happen on Never Forever, this among them. Also, this Finnegan has gotten, like, 12 boops. Hashtag just saying. But if Brute Worst is a... Would it be oppressive at 2-move? Because we've seen that buff for Leela. We saw that buff for some other phobia that I can't think of right now. This is a thing that's come up before. Is that too good for this? I don't know. If Brute Worst can be oppressive at 2-move, you'd see Phantom plays with it. I gotta see the stats, honestly, the difference between Brute Worst and... Because Brute Worst is 6, right? Because we've seen Phantom plays with... Yeah, it's 6. We've seen Phantom plays with Cerberus. But the thing with Cerberus is that it is such an enormous amount of single target damage that that might outweigh even the AoE disease. Because the disease, inherently, that mechanic is slow. So I think there's a valid point there in what Atone is saying, but I don't know if there's more to it than just that. The issue is, why would you ever use Brute instead of Cerberus? What, with Phantom? If you wanted a cluster. The problem is, with a cluster... So I think in a 2-move Brute Worst world, it would be... Obviously, it would be better, but, like, it may be played more with Phantom specifically because of that range extension. So you could Phantom it, and then it walks into the cluster, and then hits everything. Go Blondie. I mean, then it becomes a comparison of, do you want the disease or the debuff? Like, the inherent idea of a AoE disease phobia, I don't know if it's actually that good or it's just frustrating. Like, it would just be feel-bads. I've used Blondie Phantom before, only in Monster of the Week. I mean, we've had Blondie Phantom outside of that in some other scenarios, I think. Pinapple almost pulling this one back. Very well played. I loved the Blast-ode takedown. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. I kind of want to put Brute Worst now over... I might have to do Brute Worst Hoovy as the thumbnail, because, like... I mean, honest to God, I don't know that I've ever seen Brute Worst on the board, let alone get an MVP. GG. I seriously don't think we've ever seen a Brute Worst on the board. Like, ever. What the fuck? What the what? Dad, I wish they'd remake Monday Night Combat. That was the first, like... That was Overwatch, but in, like, 2009. And I know Team Fortress 2 and stuff like that predated it, but... Monday Night Combat was a great game. Monday Night Combat was a great game. Alright, PVZ, our hero here on Last Rites, Monster of the Week A match. I hit some cool-ass Phantom shenanigans, but that wasn't enough. Also, some mistakes on my part. Alright, let's see. What? I don't know what you're whatting, Koro. That was an achievement for me? What, almost coming back in that game, Pinapple? Monster of the Week, if you're not sure, weekly tournament series, everything at level 1. And yes, there is coffee prizes, including participation, just for showing up. You show up, you get some coffee. Congrats. In-game, of course, I'm not mailing you coffee. That would be weird. Don't be weird. I won't let you play in the events. Interesting opening out of PVZ, but obviously got to set up the Phantom. Perfectly fine by me. I don't know. I am very interested to see what, if anything, the devs do about Phantom. I was talking about it earlier, and then we got cut off because we're digressing into everything like always. I don't know that, like, Phantom really does feel like it is working as intended. There's an infinite number of ways that you could change it, nerf it, whatever, but I just don't know what the intent is. And until I know what the goal for Phantom is, it's difficult to say, oh, well, this is how it will change in order to facilitate that. Definitely is intended, just a little too good. Fair. I wouldn't drink a Phobies coffee. Not that I'm inherently against branded coffee. I just don't drink coffee. Yeah, you've just said that before. I would drink a Phobies coffee. I kind of, like, if I was more of a crafty person, like arts and crafts, I would take, like, my at-home coffee stuff, like, the bag of coffee that you get, and I would try and put, like, the Phobies logo on it with the coffee things, like, maybe Vendy's face, and then, like, the coffee symbol around it, and be like, Vendy's brew, or make up some pun that would be cool. I mean, we've been saying for years that we want more Phobies merch. Any Phobies merch. I mean, I have the sweatshirt that they sent to me a while back. Shout out to the team for that. But that's it. We had Phobies hoodies and mugs. A coffee roast would be great too. Yeah, we've seen in some of the, I guess it was some of the artists, there were pictures of like their workstations, and they had Phobies mugs and stuff, which was cool. I remember seeing that. I don't remember what it was, like why we had that picture, but I know it existed. Get a little Russell action, by the way, out of Master Dark. You'd love to see it. Clopster, one of their signature Phobies. Yeah, there's no way to hit this attractor yet. What sort of roast would it be? I mean, the real answer is probably whatever the most generic one is, right? I don't remember who told me this, but apparently there was and this is maybe quoting something that's inaccurate. You have a mug with Mildred on it? That's actually sweet. That's pretty cool. I remember somebody telling me that there was a study once of, like, everybody says, like coffee drinkers, everybody says that they love and will drink. Ooh, hold up. Hold up. That started to hurt halfway through. Oh, God. That actually hurt. Oh, God. Bees! Bees! I feel like I need to do it deeper for Hercules, right? Like, I can't just go, bees! It has to be bees! Like that. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. I don't remember what the hell I was talking about. I got distracted by the Hercules play, which honestly wasn't bad. What did we kill here? Was it any good? Oh, we got the creepy devil. All that for a creepy devil. Yeah, that trade was not worth it. Just saying. The deepest tone, as deep as you can get. I mean, doing it in that vocal intonation is not as deep as I can make my voice. But I don't know that I could do it, like, super deep and, like, do the drawn-out bees. I'll have to work on it. Sometimes I wish I was a voice actor, because I think it would be fun. I don't think I can do very many voices, though. I don't have, like, a great range on the control of my voice to do unique characters. So yeah, I think our hero here, PvZ, was in control of the match between the Attractor and the Phantom. Just a little bit of an overzealous push here with the I don't even know that this block helps you. Simply because the Russell should be coming back online soon. Yeah. Still got 7 keys. Oh yeah, your clinic goes dead, so, like, I guess if you have Muffin, or maybe you had Bluelian, like, that's the only way to get out of this. This panic point advantage is not enough to, this is not enough to push Master Dark to like, panic into something. There's way too much time left in this game. They could just wait you out and poison you to death. Here's the guy who lost in Star Wars. Yeah, me. Who's got 2 thumbs and lost in the finals. This guy. What's good, Hippie? How you doing? I did blow it. I did throw. I threw. I will say, in my own defense, one, my diabetes was getting there. Like, I needed to eat by that point. And it's only myself to blame. I did misplay a little bit. But there were 2 games in which I played Bodhi Rook and stripped away my opponent's overwhelming blast, and they immediately followed it up with drawing an overwhelming blast and playing it on the following turn to annihilate my entire board. And it's just like, all right, I guess I lose. At that point, it's like, all right, I got card gamed, you got me. Because I did that to people all day, too. Like, they hit me the other way. It's like, oh, I played something and make you discard Cunning. I'll draw another one. Or I had games where it's like, my opponent never drew an overwhelming blast, full stop, and I just ran them over. So, I can't, don't get me wrong, I'm not like, the luck cuts both ways. It happens. I love the Russell attack. $35 damage on those bees. Well, 50 and 35. 50 damage on the... Oh, my God. You know, PvZ, this doesn't look bad for you right now. There is a reality where you can get this. You gotta race the poison, though. Oh, that's not enough. Oh, not like this. No. Why do we want the Hevo? I guess I just don't think you can race the poison at this point. Because, like, the power down should come off now. Or is it next turn? Alright, you got one more turn of power down. Back in the day, I once managed to Cabal Therapy 2 destructive flows out of my opponent's hand on turn 1 just for them to top deck it. Magic was a game. I mean, it happens in every card game. Like, I usually say, I was saying it for a while, I'm like, oh, you got Pokemon. When I was playing Pokemon, obviously. Because sometimes in Pokemon, it's like, oh, you get 6 prizes. I put all 4 copies of a certain card into my prizes. And it's like, well, I guess I just lose. You know, like, variance happens. But now I'm starting to say just, like, you got card gamed. Like, sometimes in a card game. And I was actually talking to the guy who I beat in the finals about Phobies. Because he was the one, or I lost to in the finals, rather, earlier in the day. Because he's like, oh, yeah, I've been watching your videos, and I've been watching Phobies. Even though I don't know what the hell's happening, it's kind of fun to watch. I'm like, great. And I started talking to him about it. And he's like, I was explaining to him the basic rules of the game. And I'm like, I usually tell people it's chess with a mana curve. Heavy on emphasis on the air quotes. So you have your resources, and then you have this selection of creatures. You can only put out, like, you only get 1 copy of them per game, and blah, blah, blah. And the constraint is you only have a certain number of resources, so you can't put out every guy. And he's like, oh, so you choose a deck. And I'm like, no, there's no deck. You actually have access to everything. And that was just like galaxy brain mind-blown moment for him. Because he's like, that's so cool. What are you doing, PvZ? What? Why are you hiding? Can you not? Will you die if you go in there? Well, now you certainly will, but... Oh, no, this is the Earhart. Never mind. I lost track for a second. I see what you're doing. I'm picking up what you're putting down. I missed my Blondie moment because... Oh, no. Almost forgot how to play the Pokemon TCG. I still play it. Like, competitively, I do think Pokemon is one of the better card games. Both just long over time as well as right now. In the current era, I think the Pokemon TCG had a lot of problems for a very long time because they didn't have an actual design team and design ethos. Anachronism 4-card decks, and I think the only variance is the order you activated stuff in. There wasn't even variance for that. So I play Anachronism. You could choose the order that they, you put them in the order. The variance in that game is there was literal dice rolling for the attacks and defense. Because otherwise there would be zero variance. It would be a one... Imagine if you played Phobies, but you only got one Phobie. It was any Phobie you wanted, but you literally only get one Phobie. That was Anachronism. Now, there were other buffs, like what Atone is talking about is the 4 cards. So each turn you would reveal one card, and then it was on a 4x4 grid, and your characters could only attack in certain directions. Like maybe they could only attack diagonals, or they could only attack directly in front of them, or the sides or something. So you could move around the board to position and then use the abilities of the cards. But none of them were... Because you knew the order, you would... you had your game plan. The only variance was when you attacked or defended, you'd roll a die, add up some of the values and buffs, and then that would determine whether it hits or misses, and then you have a certain amount of hit points. It was an interesting idea, but I would like to see somebody redo that game. I think it can be done. I mean, I mentioned it before. It's not Anachronism, but I am working on my own game. So, we'll see how it goes. There is a board involved. At least at the moment. We'll see if it makes it out of this next design iteration. Once I want to play... I've talked about this before. I plan to do some streams and videos about it, like a developer's diary thing. But I want to get it to where I play tested the prototype enough that I'm like, this is 100% what the rule set is going to be, and we're just tweaking values at this point. Where it's like, oh, well, or we come up with new card ideas. I don't want to be doing a design diary and then shit, I gotta scrap the whole thing because this entire thing causes a stalemate and it'll be a regular occurrence or something like that. I haven't gone through all the scenarios, and we're now on version 4.0 of the rules, I think. I have to do the write-up probably tomorrow or Tuesday when I have time to get it onto paper. Well, digitally. All I remember is playing 7 games of Anachronism with starters, and this was years ago, over a decade ago. I'm pretty sure every game was a draw too. It was impossible for the decks to beat each other, if I recall, as Beowulf and Musashi. So there are there is a tiebreaker, because the game, you're absolutely right. The game ends in Anachronism, so you have a turn 0 essentially with no cards. Then you flip, or I think it's been about a year since I played it. I forget whether there's a turn 0 with no cards, but I'm pretty sure there is a turn 5 with all cards. So it's turn 0, no cards, you move around. Turn 1, you flip over the first card, do stuff, move around. Turn 2, same thing. Turn 3, same thing. Turn 4, same thing. Then there's a 5th turn with you have all the cards available for one more turn. If no one dies at the end of that turn, it's a draw, but the tiebreaker is the amount of health left or something like that. Or no, maybe it was the health left and experience? I know experience was used in tiebreakers for other stuff, but there was a tiebreaker for that. But yeah, as you'd imagine, if somebody hides in the corner, you might be able to go after them, but then if they have a card that lets them sprint across the board, you could just be chasing them the whole time and never actually pin them down. So I could see where draws would, or draw-like scenarios would come up a lot. Like I said, I think that system could work, and you could do it with, instead of historical figures, do it with mythological gods, whatever pantheon, or multiple pantheons, because, it's public domain, or other public domain things, and then just try and tweak the rules so that it doesn't result in that sort of stuff. All right, so we're coming back to Karst. We got one more Karst game before we close out the night. This is the other Karth as bad guy game. Double Frosty action. It's funny, people were complaining about Frosty just today. I don't remember how initiative works on the last turn since it was based on the card you flipped. I forget. Either way, game was super unimpressive. I think it was a really cool idea that ultimately there wasn't much game to. And I honestly feel like they brought the dice in because it was like, okay, this is A, hyper-deterministic, because it's 5 cards, and you can, like, everything's visible. There's almost no hidden information. There's no resources. There's no nothing. And then, also, under certain circumstances, Leader A would never be able to actually damage or interact with Leader B. I'm surprised more people don't complain about Frosty. I feel like there are a ton of phobies that are just people either... There aren't enough people who own them. And even among the people who own them, they don't have them at high enough level to really oppress anybody. You know what I mean? Like, Frosty, it's already ultra rare. It was one of the, I'm going to say monthly phobies. There was another word I'm trying to think of, but one of those. So, one of the deal phobies. Yeah, exclusive offers. There you go. So, those limiting factors, I think, keep it in check. If people saw it more regularly, I think you'd have people going ballistic all the time, kind of thing. I mean, maybe that's not true, but it kind of seems like that. Also, Karst with the very early glob. So, Karst went all dimensionals earlier. I don't know what the theme for this one is. Because this is like a very abnormal response. Now, Karth is a fairly high-level opponent, like stress level. Okay, so I think the reason that Karst went this route is because... So, bad guy opened up Snowball, Cat, like normal stuff. The common response is, oh, I go Snowball Cassowary as player 2 because then I can kind of corral player 1, prevent them from claiming like the whole map and running all over the place. You can't really do that when they out-level you by almost 10 levels. Because you're going to be tickling them. It does nothing. Karth sounds like an evil alternate universe Karst. Yeah, it's like the Saturday Martin cartoon villain evil twin or something, or like the mirror universe bad guy version. All right, we get a shove shark out of both players. Shocker. Who could have seen that coming? All right, obviously our hero here, Karst, has to, you got to play it a little bit safer. You can't just be diving into things when you're down this many levels. But Karth does have kind of free reign to poke here because I don't even know that Karst can safely kill the unicorn. 4-to-1 panic point advantage, getting the block. Yeah, Karth is going to be setting up, we're staging for a heart push here. Plus you can get the free shots here. We don't have a Terraformer on our hero's side, so they're not going to be able to... Ooh, we're getting the boop. All right, this will allow for at least a takedown on the corn, presumably. Seems reasonable. This won't get the recap, I don't think. I mean, you may not even kill this cat. Okay, you will kill the cat. A little bit of splash damage going down. And there is the Frosty. Frosty number 1. So things like Frosty, even though, like I said, a lot of people have been complaining about it, at least lately. Frosty is kind of an equalizer phobie, though. If you are under-leveled, you can leverage something like Frosty to effectively eliminate a huge swath of your opponent's team if you can outplay them. At higher levels, that's going to be, obviously, a very big challenge, but clearly it can be done. As compared to having to just fight pure numbers where you're at an enormous disadvantage. Here, instead, You could just disable half their team, deal with the other half, and then, you know, the whole divide and conquer thing. Takedown here on Rock Lobster. Karst with the appropriate response to Frosty. It is Puff. There is a potential freeze here. Is this live or does this have a longer... No, this is live. The thing is, if you freeze, the Puff will immediately thaw one thing. Even without the bomb, you can just double attack and thaw something immediately. So we do get the freeze. Who is Karst going to thaw is the question. And we get the response Puff. Still 5 keys on Karst's side, though. Alright, so we're leveraging the thaw onto the Frosty. We get the freeze up here. This is a little bit more challenging for Karth, bad guy, to thaw, just because you have to move to even get into position. Like, the freeze from bad guy was not as impressive as our heroes is. Just because our heroes freeze is going to last longer, obviously. You might get the bow here. You should get the bow, because you do get the bonus electrical damage here. Yep, easy pick. Hydra's going to get defrosted a little bit, but this does offer up the opportunity for Frosty to eliminate the Hevo. Klepto can help out. We will have Freeze Ray back online sometime in 2038, so we'll see what happens in the meantime. Now, we can cupcake the Klepto if that was desired. Doesn't seem to be necessary. Dial, all right. Well, dial action? What do you think, chat? Should freeze... Should freeze stop cooldown recharging? Or should it put things on cooldown? It's not uncommon for people to complain that freeze is not as good or good enough because of fire. We've seen that on many occasions. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs. Get cooked! Welcome to the barbecue. Population, bad guys, whole team. You can't stand the heat. Sounds like you shouldn't be in the kitchen. Getting cooked. Bad guy's gonna get their retaliation going, but, oh no, Freeze Ray's not back. Never mind, I thought Freeze Ray was back. Whoa, we get a concession here. I guess there just wasn't quite enough damage. Hero taking it down, under-leveled by like a gazillion. GG. GG. Very well played. All right, looks like the final game of this evening, chat. We got Karst coming at you once more. Dimensional event challenge on my side. My opponent uses Tick and a Tractor. Tick was the other phobia I could not think of earlier that got movement buffed. It honestly hasn't shown up that much, which I'm kind of okay with. Of the two, I feel like Tick would have been worse than Leela. Leela would probably be more frustrating. Would it? I don't know if Leela would be more frustrating. But I think Tick had the larger potential to be really oppressive. because it was cheap and it would come down early and either bully your opponent out, or it would be like trivial effort to get it to like, oh, I'll just dive in with my 3 key to disease 3 things and then wait it out. That has not been the case, or just nobody wants to play Tick. I don't know. I think I'm still missing Tick, so I need to get that and then give it a try. What are we looking at level-wise here? Level 19. All right, so these are much more closely leveled than what we saw earlier. I didn't recognize bad guy's name. So Karst really going heavy on the 1 keys here. We got 4 of them on this map. Early panic point advantage. So Karst did mention offline that they only recently acquired Boomer, and that they've been leveraging Boomer to great extent, namely because they're able to make plays like this. Like, I go in, I cap a point, Boomer can escape, and then I can continue to use it. And especially since it's only a Henrietta poison, this is going to take basically until the next extinction level event on this planet for it to die. Depending on, well, never mind. Not going to go there. All right, so we get a Tick. We got Octonaughty as the answer. All right, so Karst brought up Tick, but failed to mention a tractor. That feels like a key component here. Obviously, Karst was planning on the muffin for the Henrietta poison. Looks like we're going to get a jar. Yep. Just baited him right into that. Even get the body block to prevent the... Well, no, the Tick will still connect with the Octonaughty. But a 4-0 panic point advantage, and that Stabby is in range of the heart, or soon to be in range of the heart. Hey, get them bits. Bits goal completed. Cheers. Thank you, Hippie. Much appreciated. That is like an entire... What is... Hold on. What is this book? Is that an actual... Wait, what? Anakin, an angel. I've heard the deep space pilots talk about them. They live on the moons of... Please tell me that... Is it literally moons of Lego? That can't be it. That can't be real. The moons of Lego are really the line. I haven't seen episode 1, and I don't want to. I haven't seen it in a long time. I don't want to see it again. The moons of Lego, I think. They're the most beautiful creatures in the universe. Queen Amidala, you're a funny little boy. How do you know so much? Anakin, I listen to all the traders and star pilots who come through here. I'm a pilot, you know, and someday I'm going to fly away from this place. Oh, it's an I, not an L? Okay. I'm looking at it and I'm like, that has to be an I, but I don't know how that's pronounced. It's much funnier to me, and I feel like I would have enjoyed episode 1 much more if it was Planet Lego. Imagine the Lego Star Wars game if it was the moon of Lego. Like, imagine. It's named after the parrot from Aladdin. Is it actually? Because that's Iago, right? It's Iageo? I really wish it was Planet Lego. I really wish it was Planet Lego. I haven't seen episode 1 in a long time. It is... I hated that movie so much. I have memory of going to the movie theater to see it and just being so upset about it. I wish there was a Planet Lego and it was just the Lego Star Wars. That would be pretty cool. I probably rewatch the saga every year. Nice. I posted my hot take on the order, like what my personal preference order is for Star Wars movies in Discord. In my Discord the other day, people were not happy. Let's just say I rate the sequels way higher than most other people. I need to watch Star Wars still so my friends stop roasting me. Have you seen literally none of them, Luffy? Most of Star Wars is bad? Yeah. I think the thing with Star Wars is just, what is your tolerance for bad? Like, not, like, oh, you can sustain how much bad can you sustain before you're like, I can't take it anymore, this is just terrible. It's more like, what kind of bad? Because there's stupid things throughout all of them, or like things that make no sense. 2 and 3 are borderline unwatchable. What? Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith? They're better than Phantom Menace. I saw the first one in movies. Kylo Ren was so confused. I don't know why you're confused. It's literally, well, if you've never seen it, it's A New Hope, but with new paint. Phantom Menace is pod racing and a Jedi. But yeah, besides that, I've never seen any Star Wars content. The only thing I would say is, and Karst has taken over this game at this point. I think Karst is just rubbing it in with the Grimes. The only thing I'd say is, like, if you're gonna watch Star Wars stuff, just watch whatever looks interesting to you. Don't, like, try and go through reviews and be like, well, this is, you know, like, this has got the best reviews, so this is probably the best Star Wars content to start with. No, just watch whatever one you think looks cool. GG there, Karst. Sorry, this one didn't get as much attention because we got sidetracked. We got sidetracked, but GG. All right, chat. That's going to do it for the viewer games for this week. The queue is empty. Maybe we'll hang on to a little post after this, but we'll close up shop for this. If you're interested in submitting your viewer games or in Phobies tournaments, hit up the Random Thoughts Discord link for that, and of course, blah blah blah. Like and subscribe button in the description. You know the deal by now. You should be. You've been around enough. Whatever. You get the idea. Definitely a lot of fun with some of these wacky games. But that's going to do it for this time. So as always, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Tune in next time for more Random Thoughts.